the eastern region of our great state of Tennessee. I am Virginia Housley, the Regional Director, and with me today is Michelle Holt, who is our Executive Director, and we will be presenting the 2020 East Tennessee Regional Plan. Today we're going to talk about our East Tennessee Regional Plan. We're going to talk about our collaboration between our local areas to ensure a more consistent and efficient service delivery. We're going to look at the regional strategy to reach our priority populations. We're going to talk about our coordination of activities with our regional economic development partners. We're going to look at our regional partnerships, our new collaborations, and our innovative practices. And we're going to talk about our regional sectors, our industries, and our occupations that are our priorities. And lastly, we're going to talk about the workforce activities to mitigate this COVID-19 impact on our workforce development. First, we're going to talk about our collaboration to ensure consistent and efficient service delivery. Some of the ways that we're looking to do that in the region is to improve skills and credentials by emphasizing our vocational education. A lot of that is done with a collaboration with our GIVE grantees in the East region. We have about 12 projects that are currently going on with a total of about $10.7 million in investment. We're also going to look at establishing access points and specialized centers in our secondary schools. We want to support regional and rural economic development strategies through our rural initiative activities that we have going on in our distressed and at-risk counties. And then lastly, we want to leverage data and partnerships to inform strategies and improve the performance levels. We'll do this by extracting, analyzing, and reporting data to drive continuous improvement. And then this will be done through the development of a performance committee for each of our local areas that will look at the regional data. And you'll hear more about this later in our presentation. We want to look at ways that we can streamline the delivery of our supportive services. We would look at sharing best practices across the East region. We want to discuss regional transportation and then also examine the feasibilities of our regional policies where we can better align those to make it easier for the customers and the business community to understand. We want to look at enhancing services and opportunities for our justice-involved individuals. We currently have at least one specialized AJC and a Department of Correction facility. We want to increase outreach in our detention centers, jails, and community corrections programs. We want to look at providing services in our local courts, basic services in our day reporting centers, and then lastly, promoting work opportunity tax credits and federal bonding to our employers. We want to look at ways to expand our youth work-based learning opportunities through the expansion of youth demonstration grants. We want to strengthen our partnerships with our secondary and post-secondary schools to align work-based learning opportunities with training programs and career pathways. And then promote our work-based learning to our industry partners, and then educate our industry and partner organizations on the child labor laws and the benefits under those programs. We're going to look at our collaboration to ensure a more consistent and efficient training opportunities. And you can see our slide showing our strategies that are aligned with our state plan and our regional plan. And our state plan says we will have a pipeline infrastructure, K through 12 work-based learning, adult education pathways, incarnate education integration, military transition, reemployment transition, and the drive to 55. And our regional plan, we're going to engage our K through 12 and our post-secondary partners to develop the programs of study for adults and youth. We're going to integrate enhanced career services into an individualized client plan that will address their career goals, their skills, their readiness assessments, and their barriers, and what supportive services they may need to overcome those. We're going to identify credentials for student career pathways that are industry recognized and stackable for better jobs. And some of the ways and strategies that we'll use to do that in the region are by having semi-annual polls to identify credentials and competencies that are required by the employers. We'll emphasize our sector-based strategies by convening our employers to address skills gaps and then identify non-traditional and accelerated training to develop our talent pipeline. We want to utilize networks and relationships with our education and industry partners to look and interpret at a broad spectrum of data
that will ensure that the appropriate occupational training programs are available to meet the needs of business and industry.
Other additional strategies that we're looking at is the Regional Planning Council will work with its TBR partners to address the lack of technical and computer skills. These become barriers to employment because of the changing nature of many jobs and the increased use of technology, and especially during this COVID-19 pandemic we've been into. And it has a deep impact on our dislocated workers who may need to upgrade their skill sets to re-enter the workforce. Again, emphasizing the COVID-19 situation we have been in. We're emphasizing integrated education and training with adult education to fast-track employment opportunities by combining basic skills, workforce preparation, and occupational skills training. And always, and of course, we want to expand and promote our registered apprenticeships and our pre-apprenticeships programs.
Next, we'll talk about the collaboration to enhance performance and reporting. As Virginia mentioned earlier, with the alignment from our state and regional plan for the Tennessee Strategic Plan, it's mentioned the outcome visibility for the employers, the pipeline development, and economic development. And then our East Region strategies, you want us to help develop the tools and reporting systems to analyze and report outcomes from workforce system programs and initiatives, and develop and implement methods of tools to evaluate benchmarks for success with our partnerships, and then encourage the usage and assist implementation of the BOSS electronic case file system.
And we hope to accomplish this by establishing a performance committee that will track and monitor the performance of our negotiated targets that are federally mandated, our key performance indicators that are state mandated, and the overall performance of our one-stop system. This committee will be made up of our one-stop operation managers, who are the functional management who keeps performance on track with all of our partners and reports with the performance staff from each LWADA to their workforce board. We also want to look at the enhanced performance and reporting, and those monthly reports will be provided to our executive directors, to our regional directors, and our quarterly reports will be provided to our regional planning council, our local workforce development boards, and our CLEOs. Our regional strategy to reach our priority population is always emphasize priority of services to our veterans and eligible spouses. Identification of priority customers via the welcome function. We want to strengthen partnerships with state and county corrections and probation services for returning talent opportunities. And we want to increase recruitment from 4 priority groups, which include justice-involved individuals, youth, including individuals with disabilities transitioning from secondary school to the workforce, in partnership with our vocational rehabilitation partners, adult education program participants, and other individuals prioritized by the priority of service policies.
And some of the successful ways that we'll be able to connect work-based learning and our innovation practices is through the connection of the local area high schools with employers for development and expansion of our work-based learning. We will be able to connect employers with a labor standards unit to support efforts of manufacturing and improving those for work-based learning models with high school students and individuals that are under the age of 18. We want to look at supporting expansion of entrepreneurship training, pathways for workers whose next career steps may include their own opening their own business or improving their entrepreneurial skills. We want to look at identification of employment tracks appropriate to career pathway work characterized by clear and attainable entry and advancement requirements. And then also look at ways that we can develop the transitional jobs policies within each of the local areas.
One of our innovative practices that we are doing is the Southeast is going to pilot the common intake process, which we hope will elevate the role of the welcome function. It will enhance our customers' experience. It will identify priority customers and orient them to the programs best suited. It will establish intake specialist roles that are highly specialized and cross-trained to understand what programs were best suited for this client. It will streamline the intake and referral process, and it will increase co-enrollments and partner coordination. And soon we want to expand this to include the entire Eastern region, and this will coordinate with our virtual AJC. Next, we will look at the coordination of activities between our economic development agencies and our workforce system. And again, we look at mirroring our Tennessee state plan with our regional plan, and our Tennessee state plan says we will have a clear integration with our economic development through the project management process and through their incentive process. And our regional strategy says we'll nurture those strong relationships at the local and regional levels, and we will align and integrate business services among state agency and our local core partners. We will do this with coordinating with the economic development agencies to establish employer links through the business service team, which we want them to have regular team meetings to discuss hiring needs, prospects, and the skills gaps. We want them to relay information to training providers and the board for talent development. We want a review of the CTE programs and emerging talent to meet employer needs, and the regional collaboration of our business service teams to share their best practices and information on all workforce needs.
And next, we're going to talk about how we're going to be connecting businesses to a well-trained workforce. One of the ways that you develop a well-trained workforce and that the East Tennessee Regional Planning Council is to connect business with well-trained workforce. We want to convene our employers and educators to define training and develop flexible options to meet demand, including short-term training and apprenticeships. We want to look at aligning our training investments with business and industry needs, connecting our employers with secondary schools to aid in the curriculum development and participate in advisory boards, promote comprehensive demand-driven work-based learning methods, and then finally evaluate the performance of functional teams to help assess, train, and refer quality candidates to our employers.
Our East Tennessee Regional Planning Council will create a regional dashboard to include our business service team activities, which includes incumbent worker training, rapid response meetings, and on-the-job training contracts, and all the participants trained and how many dollars has been invested. We want to know the number of individuals that will be completing the occupational skills training. We want to know adult education summary and quarterly HiSET diplomas earned, vocational rehabilitation quarterly number of individuals receiving job assistance services and their job placements, and TANF's co-enrollments and their referrals to the AJC for customer service. Next, we'll look at our regional partnerships, our new collaborations, and our innovative practices. Our new partnerships, collaborations, and innovations includes our regional case management training that we've had in the past and want to continue to do so in the future. We've had regional employer surveys, and we want to continue those bi-yearly. We want a best practice sharing, which includes our reentry, our returning talent training, our secondary school apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeship programs, and E2E, which is an employer and educated program in the Northeast, which aligns and introduces our students to possible careers in the future so they can make better selections. We will look at our sector and occupation priorities for the Eastern region. And again, we're looking at our slides that compares our Tennessee State Plan and our Eastern Region Plan. And our Tennessee Plan says that we'll have clear connections to current industries and employers with our apprenticeships, industry-specific education and training, and our AJC integration. Our regional plan says we'll use the wired data for our current emergency industries and occupations. We will identify and approve WIOA training programs based on that. We will support employer-driven regional sector initiatives.
And then for our sector priorities for the East region, they were prioritized based on the representation of the broadest base of the economy for the 34 counties in the East region. The strategies that were utilized were to employ the wired data on current and emergent industries, to anticipate demand for developing incumbent worker programs, and to inform pipeline development. We also want to look at supporting employer-driven regional sector initiatives.
Our priority sectors for the Eastern region is food and agriculture, healthcare and life sciences, rubber, chemical, and glass, automotive, appliances and electrical, finance and technology, distribution and logistics, aerospace, defense, and chemicals.
And then how the prioritization occurred in the East region for our occupations. They were representative of the top growing occupations, the top occupation location quotients, and the largest occupations in the 34 counties. The strategy behind that was to identify and approve WIOA training programs based on in-demand occupations and employer input. The occupations identified as priorities in the East region include food preparation and serving related, transportation and material moving, production, management, office and administrative support, business and financial operations, healthcare practitioners, and technical and sales related.
Our priorities were identified by the existing sectors identified by the Regional Planning Council with input from our labor market data, our business services team, our surveys, and our middle skill careers. Our new sectors reviewed at the Regional Planning Council at our quarterly meetings are going to be based on our area boards, eligible training provider list, additions and subtractions of those courses, our labor market information from our wired data, our surveys, funded individual training accounts by each local area, our consolidated business grants activities that includes our incumbent worker training, our on-the-job training, and our registered apprenticeships.
And lastly, we could not have a plan without discussing how COVID-19 has impacted workforce development. We realize that we're going to have to look at new and innovative ways to organize recruiting and hiring events with employers, whether it be on-site, off-site, or virtually. We also realize that there may be a need to provide funds to upskill existing talent for new jobs that may have been created by employers during the pandemic. We'll look at ways to underwrite registered apprenticeship programs reflecting the region's industry sectors, and then also promote entrepreneurial skills training and micro enterprise services for emerging employers and small businesses that may have been developed as a result of the COVID pandemic. And then lastly, but not least, certainly is identifying, recruiting, and placing dislocated workers in growing, mature, and emerging industries as they may have been affected by this COVID-19 impact.
That concludes our East Tennessee Regional Plan, and I would like to thank all of our partners that had input in developing this plan. In our Northeast, Kathy Pierce is the Executive Director. Brian Decker is the Regional Director. And in the East region, we have Tanika Walhall is the Regional Director, and Bill Walker is the Executive Director. A lot of time and energy has been placed in developing these plans, and I want to say a big thank you to all members that were involved in putting this together.